welcome to Conversations in Public Relations. I'm your host, Mary Fletcher Jones. You know, with the popularity of iPods and the internet, is radio still relevant? What should we as communicators know about radio public relations? Well, today let's talk to Susan Matthews Apgood. Susan is president of News Generation Incorporated, an award-winning radio media relations agency. It's right here in Bethesda, Maryland. I've asked Susan here today to talk to us about the state of radio today and what communicators should know about promoting to this broadcast medium. So what does your company, News Generation, do?
My company, News Generation, does all radio media relations work. So we set up radio media tours for clients, we do audio news releases, audio bite lines, and PSAs for radio. Basically any technique that gets our client earned media on radio. We don't do advertising, but what we do is try and get our clients in top of hour newscasts and public affairs programming. We worked on a campaign last month called Blue August, and it was for Planet Green, and they are a Discovery Network. And we worked with two different spokespeople, Alexandra and Philippe Cousteau, who are Jacques Cousteau's grandchildren. They're big conservationists, and so they worked with the Ocean Conservancy about a campaign to help keep our waterways clean. And at the same time, it was a big education campaign to help people learn more about animals in the ocean and in different types of waters, and how people can protect them, and how much litter can really impact wildlife and how it can really hurt, sort of gave people examples of what a little bit of litter can do down the line. And so it was just a great campaign because it had an education component, it had a conservation component, and it was just a great story for people to learn about our waterways and also to learn how to protect them.
What benefits would you say radio offers your clients as opposed to the internet or newspaper placements, for example?
Well, radio is a great medium because it's a very personalized medium. People feel connected to their local DJ or to the person that they listen to on NPR or the news station that they listen to get their traffic news and weather together. And so since it's such a great localized medium, I've always felt very connected to radio. And I believe our clients can get a lot of benefit out of it because there are 33 different formats of radio stations. There are 210 media markets across the country. So there's a lot of opportunity for radio. There are more than 13,000 stations and more than 500 networks, and that doesn't include satellite radio or any online radio. So there really is a great opportunity for people to get their message out. A lot of people use radio when there's an immediate need. If it's something that has to be turned around very quickly, radio is typically that medium because you don't have to wait for a newscast as you do on television or wait for a print edition as you do for newspapers. And so it's great in terms of immediacy and intimacy. It's also a mobile medium where people who live in heavy traffic areas spend a lot of time listening to their radios on the way to work, on the way from work, driving kids around. So it's just a great opportunity for people to feel informed and get informed while they can't do anything else.
What kind of clients tend to look at radio for PR?
The best clients for radio are typically clients that have issue-based work. If there's a bill on Capitol Hill, we're doing a ton of work right now in healthcare reform from different insurance companies, think tanks, coalitions, all groups that are getting together to talk about healthcare. We also do a lot of work in the educational entertainment area where shows premiere on PBS and Discovery. We typically do media tours in advance of those so that radio personalities can talk with the talent and promote their show, but at the same time give the station really good content about the subject matter. So those tend to be the big ones, the associations that have big constituencies, and such as American Federation of Teachers, American Chemical Society, where there are a lot of members doing great work in the community, and we're able to highlight that with our services and feed information back to those hometown areas, which makes radio just a great opportunity for people to do work nationally as well as locally.
What advice can you offer communicators about publicizing their stories on radio? And I'd also like to know at what point they should call in a firm like News Generation to help them.
Well, in terms of advice for people who want to use radio, it is great to have issue-based work that's non-commercial. Reporters see right through stories that are presented as commercials. And something that has a localized angle. So for example, we just did a project with the American Diabetes Association for their Step Out campaign. And they are running hundreds of events across the country this fall. And what we did was we did a bunch of interviews the other day, and we were able to tie it back to their local events that are taking place in certain markets around the country. So if you have localized statistics on illnesses or accidents or something that helps bring that story back to a home market, really helps quite a bit. There's legislation going on that tends to be a little bit complicated. It's great to do interviews just to get people in the know about what is really going on from industry experts. And in terms of when it makes sense to hire a public relations company like mine is typically when you are doing a broader campaign. If you're doing one that's in a market or even a state that is manageable, I think it's fine to try and do those campaigns on their own. But what our bread and butter is really knowing who the reporters are. As soon as I get a story from a client, I'm already thinking in my head who we can contact for that. And some of our best clients are clients that have tried to pitch radio in the past and realize how complicated it really is, because there are certain reporters that you can only call at 10 after the hour, 45 after the hour because of the way their schedules work. And we know who to email and who to fax and who to call before you email. And so we have all that down. And a lot of times when people try and do radio on their own, they're building up all those initial things, and it takes a lot of time. And people don't realize how much time it takes until you really get into it. But with so many stations out there, it really is a great opportunity, but you also have to make sure that you're spending your time as efficiently as you can. And so that's when clients tend to hire us, PR firms hire us to do the radio portion of a campaign, and they'll take care of other things. And then associations and nonprofits and government agencies come directly to us, again for the same reason, so that we can take care of all the details, and then they can focus on their messaging and other broadcast interviews.
Susan, thanks so much for taking the time to tell us more about radio today. I really learned a lot.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was really fun.